With over 5,000 different profiles on the market we have here at Australian Moulding and Door Company, I can understand how it become quite easy to get overwhelmed and having a look at everything, flipping through our catalogue and not knowing what you should get. Today I'd like to go through some different eras that relate to skirtings and mouldings to try and help you out and figure out what type of moulding would relate to your house. First, we'll start with the colonial style. This is a relaxed country feel. It has a few decorative features, but not actually a lot. It's quite a symmetrical design. Basically, there is pitched roofs, multi-panel sash windows, paired chimneys. Wide wraparound verandas are very common in this sort of house. Generally, the colonial skirting is a beautiful S-curve that comes down to a V-joint just at the bottom. But at the moment, as it's gone on, this has got definitely more detailed in as the era has passed. But first, this is a very, very common colonial style, being the C12 and the C77. This does have that beautiful S sort of swerve there and the V-joint down at the bottom that is on the C12 there. And on the C77, again, we have that beautiful S-curve going on with a lovely flat section down the bottom, giving you that little bit more of an emphasis on a classical country feel without being overstated. Next, we move on to the Victorian era. This was definitely a highly decoratively detailed era. They pretty much were more is everything, and it has made it such a trademark for this style of era that everything was embellishments. But basically, they were so decorative, it makes it what it is today. They have typical features of including terrace housing, the stained double glass windows, and they had the steeply pitched roofs, and they have their beautiful wraparound porches with absolutely fantastic cast lace iron lacework basically around the front. Victorian skirtings and mouldings are absolutely beautiful. They are one of the most detailed ones we have, with being quite large and quite tall with a lot of decoratively rounded flat sections in them as well. Something like this one here, which is absolutely fantastic, having that rounded sections. As you can see, it's got a lot going on with it. They have that double step flat part here in this skirting, and generally most of the time, Victorian skirtings don't really go anywhere below 160 because they do want them to be quite tall. They generally are paired with a dado rail and wank panelling down the bottom there as well. And that's just because they did like putting a lot in them and making it absolutely a statement piece. Moving on to Federation and Edwardian. This is an absolutely beautiful era. It is very sleek and it's simple, with a few flat areas that are sort of a little bit more straightforward with a few touches of curves. It's nothing over the top. They've pulled it back from Victorian, still keeping that absolutely fantastic Victorian sort of styling, but still pulling it back. They've definitely embellished the Australian outdoor living area, as this was actually one of the first distinctively homes were built around this period. The typical characteristics of a Federation / Edwardian house is red brickwork, wide hallways, high ceilings, and simple decorative features. Generally, they have LED light windows and beautiful porches with wooden frames. Then the skirting is sort of a bit, like I said, a bit pulled back, but still with a lot of detail, as it has slightly changed over the years and gone into that detailed section. We start with Edwardian, which is this one here. It is the E165 with our skirting block WS2. This is absolutely fantastic. As you can see, it is still a little bit detailed and giving you that beautiful look, but without being over the top, having that flat section in there, just with that one simple curve there. Then we move on to something like this one here. This one here is absolutely fantastic as well. This is one of our Federation mouldings. It does have a few curves in it. As I said, over the time, things have been brought into that higher, bit more decorative style, but they are still got those straight sections in it, just still keeping touches of what the original Federation was. Now, then we move on to this one here. This is the F8. This is my favorite moulding that we have. Now, again, this is a bit more typical Federation, that it is only a few curves, as this one actually curves in and not outwards, giving it a bit of more of a sleek, simple styling. And then it gives that little bit round there, absolutely fantastic, and pretty much can go with any era. Now we'll move on to the Californian bungalow late Edwardian period. This actually originated from Los Angeles, and it has been exemplified for a very sturdy home with firm and heavy appearances. It actually was pretty recognised for a respectable and sturdy style. Now, it's a single-storey home with sloping roofs, wide eaves, and exposed rafters. They do feature rough rendered walls, dark brickworks, and stained glass windows. Now, there is more featuring that there are within a California bungalow, but these are just a few pointers to sort of typically work out what your house is. And then when you walk inside, you generally can see that there's panelled or wainscoted walls. This is very typical in a California bungalow style, but the skirting and architraves aren't actually that detailed. They're quite simple. And sort of something like this one here, which is a typical lamb's tongue, giving you a bit of a rounded top with that beautiful slope and curve there. This is very, very late Edwardian and California bungalow style. You don't really want to put a lot into this because you have got a lot of wainscoting and wall paneling going on. So they're sort of backed off with the skirtings and architraves just a tiny bit, but still giving you that absolutely beautiful, robust and modest styling that you have within these houses. Moving on to the Art Deco era, this one is all about simplicity and symmetry. Now, it did originate in France in the 1920s, then it came later to Australia in the 1930s. This home is definitely a beautiful, sleek and linear appearance. There are geometric features that are through the house, creating an understated and elegant feel. There are certain characteristics you can tell by looking at an Art Deco and notifying that it is one straight away, with its bold colour choices, for example, reds, greens, and things like this. Moving on to that, it's got flat roofs, it's very smooth lines. There are, again, curved glassing, all of those geometric shapes that are within this house, having even porthole windows, making them a feature, really standing out. They even come to balconies lined with handrails. Now, the Art Deco is very, very simple skirting and architrave. It has been pulled back again. It is absolutely amazing. You would like to continue having those sort of stepped profiles, keeping that geometric and symmetry through your skirting and architrave. Now, as you can see, everything is very, very lined out basically, and it does suit those lines and the linear straight lines through your housing. Moving on to the post-war era, this is a beautiful, simple, contemporary design. It is following the Art Deco era, moving back from all those over-embellishments, giving you a bit more simplicity and giving you that contemporary feel that we have in our modern houses nowadays. Their building materials back in the time, that's why it's called post-war, is that it was a little bit more scarce. So they were built generally from weatherboard and brick veneers. And they did move back from very over-featured plaster cornices and generally have flat or butterfly roofs. They have weatherboard cladding and metal casement windows. Now, post-war homes have very, very, very simple mouldings, but yet they are super elegant. And this one here is a war service, that's what we call it. And it is that beautiful little splade with that round up there, giving you an absolutely amazing contemporary feel within your house. It is an understated profile, yet giving you something with a lot of emphasis, and it is definitely something that would be able to suit any house in the modern era now. Last but not least, we have the modern and contemporary design. This was definitely something that was brought in with less is more. It is something that is just moving on past the Art Deco, taking it a little bit further, but still giving you that decorative style without being an overstatement. It is definitely a house that it took on the minimalistic look and that is very featured within a lot of houses now. They have that amazing open plan living and a box-like facade with, it sort of replaces that ornate entrance that we had in the older eras such as Victorian and Edwardian and Federation. It has moved on from that, giving us that little bit more of a modern twist. They do have clean lines like the Art Deco, but again, it's brought back just a tiny bit and it's a bit more minimalism. And then the wall length windows just make it a feature. They have skylights and contrasting colours through this house, generally with the geometric shape, and taking on from where I said they did move from that Art Deco era. Then the skirting and architraves have been pulled back. They are a lot more basic, they are a lot more smooth. The design is definitely very different from all of the other eras. Something like this one here, which is the M45A. It is a shadow line profile. This is very popular within almost all of your modern houses. It definitely is that clean line feeling, keeping that modern twist. It is absolutely amazing and is very popular. Now, it does feature quite sharp edges. Again, this is a very modern feature because they are trying to bring back those curves and all that wonderful bits and pieces. Not to say that this isn't what you should have in a modern house. Definitely you can move into that decorative style, as we do have decorative modern profiles now. And it's because some people want a bit of a twist, but they still want to keep it quite modern. So you are allowed to have decorative skirting and moldings within a modern house as well. Now, not to say that all that I've explained to you right now is something that you have to have in your house. This is just a few key pointers that each house has. Now, you are more than welcome to have a federation in a colonial house. It is completely up to you and what you would like to design your house to be. Now, if you are still a little bit stuck and would like us to talk to you, come into our showroom, check out all of the skirtings and moldings that we have, and speak to one of our team members. We will be more than happy to go through absolutely everything with you and find that perfect molding that will suit your house.